Why a Stoic never felt betrayed. Have you ever trusted someone completely, only to watch them walk away when you needed them most? Maybe it was a friend who stopped calling, the one you thought would always be there, a partner who lied, even though you believed their promises were unshakable, a family member who turned cold, someone you thought blood would bind forever. And when it happened, it didn't just sting. It wasn't just a passing moment of sadness. It shook something deep inside you, as if the ground beneath your feet had shifted. You found yourself replaying conversations in your head, searching for clues you missed. You whispered to yourself, how could they do this to me? The mind keeps circling back, not to the event itself, but to the disbelief that it could ever happen. But the Stoics, they lived through betrayal, they faced exile, they endured abandonment. And yet, they never said, I was betrayed. Why? Because a Stoic knows something most people don't. You can only be betrayed if you expected someone to be who they're not. Expectation is the seed of pain. To the Stoics, emotional pain, including betrayal, doesn't come from the events themselves. It comes from your judgment of those events, from the invisible expectations you carried, often without realizing it, from the gap between what you thought should happen and what reality actually delivered. Epictetus said, when someone acts badly, remember, he acts according to his beliefs. You act according to yours. You expected honesty, but they lied. You expected loyalty, but they vanished when you needed them most. It wasn't the behavior itself that hurt the most. It was your belief they would never do it. The shock came not from their actions, but from the collision between your expectation and the truth. The Stoic trains himself to expect human nature, not a perfect fantasy, not because he's cynical, but because he's free from the prison of illusion. When you accept that people are capable of anything, both good and bad, you stop being surprised when they show you their flaws. And when you stop being surprised, you stop being shattered. People do what people do. The world is full of different minds, different motives, and different wounds. No two people carry the same burdens or see the world in exactly the same way. Some act out of love, some act out of pride, some act out of fear, some act simply out of habit. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, was betrayed constantly, by friends who sought power, by generals who turned against him, even by his own wife if the rumors are true. And yet he writes with grace, when you wake up in the morning, say to yourself, today I will meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. He doesn't write this to feel miserable or pessimistic. He writes it to feel prepared. Because betrayal only surprises you if you've built a fantasy around something. A Stoic removes the fantasy and sees clearly. When you expect imperfection, the imperfections no longer have the power to break you. You control the meaning. Betrayal is not just an action, it's a story we tell ourselves. She wronged me. He used me. They hurt me. But Stoicism teaches, it is not events themselves that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. Epictetus. Two people can go through the same event, and one will feel destroyed while the other feels freed. The difference isn't in what happened, but in the meaning they gave it. You can tell yourself the story of the victim, or you can tell yourself the truth, that this person simply revealed who they are. That reality has spoken, that now you are free to move without illusion. A Stoic doesn't attach unnecessary suffering to facts. He chooses meaning consciously. He knows that pain can be a doorway, either to bitterness or to wisdom, and he decides which one he will walk through. A Stoic's trust is in virtue, not in people. Seneca wrote, the wise man is self-sufficient, not that he doesn't need friends, but he doesn't depend on them. You don't have to stop loving people. You simply stop anchoring your peace in them. A Stoic doesn't place his trust in the idea that people will always be loyal. He places his trust in the fact that he will always be virtuous. He doesn't say, I hope they never lie to me. He says, if they lie, I will remain honest. If they betray, I will remain just. That is the true shield against betrayal. Not armor of steel, but armor of character. Because when your foundation is built on your own integrity, no one else's actions can take it from you. Use pain as a forge. The Stoics didn't avoid pain. They transformed it into strength. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." You were disappointed. Good. Now, sharpen your discernment. Now, refine your inner fortress. Now, detach your soul from illusion and anchor it in truth. Every betrayal can become a teacher. Every loss can become a forge. Every wound can become the starting point of deeper resilience. A Stoic turns betrayal into fuel, not for revenge, but for growth. Let go without hatred. You don't have to hate the person who hurt you. You don't have to carry the story forever. Marcus Aurelius again, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. You were hurt, but you don't have to become bitter. Forgiveness in Stoicism isn't about excusing bad behavior. It's about refusing to let someone else's actions continue to poison your mind. You can let go with dignity. You can forgive, not for them, but for your freedom. A Stoic doesn't drag the past like heavy chains. He walks forward, light, grounded, whole. The truth that sets you free. Here's the truth. You weren't betrayed. You were shown something. You saw the truth of who someone really was. And in that moment, you were offered a gift. The chance to build your peace on something more permanent. Not on promises, not on people, but on virtue. That is why a Stoic never feels betrayed. Because he doesn't live in illusions. He lives in clarity. And when you live in clarity, betrayal becomes impossible. Because no one can truly betray you when your trust is anchored in your own character. If this helped you see your pain differently, share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe for more Stoic wisdom to strengthen your mind. And remember, what you control is enough, and who you become is everything.